I was ashamed of my past. I was ashamed of how I was conceived. I was ashamed that I was a stutterer and a bedwetter. I was ashamed that I was a chubby little boy that just didn't seem to know how to learn in school. But I want you to know something. Shame is a lie from the pit of hell.
From New Life Ministries, this is Going Deeper with Steve Arterburn. I'm Steve Arterburn. And Going Deeper is all about taking the tough issues, the hard issues of life, looking a little bit deeper inside so that we can gain some insight into our lives.
Well, hi, everybody. This is Dr. Ron Archer with Going Deeper. I'm so honored to sit in for my dear friend Steve Arterburn to talk about how do we turn pain into power, tragedy into triumphs, and setbacks into comebacks. Well, I'm the author of the new book, what is called What Belief Can Do. And it's about my life story of being born to a 16-year-old call girl in the inner city of Cleveland, Ohio. You know, when I was 10 years old, I took my mother's gun and held it to my brain. And I wanted to blow my brains all over her wall. You must ask the question, why would a 10-year-old boy want to die? You know, my thinking was very clear. If the next 10 years is anything like the last 10 years, I didn't want any more years. I went into my mom's drawer, I pulled out her gun, I put it to my temple, and I pulled the trigger. Let's go back. Why? Why would a young boy want to die? Well, you see, my family's biracial. My grandmother is from Germany, a place called Bernkastel-Kues. She was so tall and pale and skinny, our nickname for her was French Fry. And my grandfather came from Cuba. He was a very black, he was so black, he was purple. But because he was charcoal broiled, we called him Hamburger. Well, Hamburger met French Fry in Cleveland, Ohio, and they made a happy meal, and they had 7 McNuggets. Make a long story short, my grandfather went to jail for harassing someone who called his wife a very negative name, and my grandmother lost her eye and half her face to cancer. In essence, they lost everything. They lost their home, they lost their cars, they lost their community, and they were living in the streets. I had 2 uncles who got hooked on heroin and joined a gang called the Devil's Disciples. Let's go deep now. And my mom was the oldest of the 7 children, and she was 14 when all this happened. And sometimes, ladies, we know that beauty in the wrong situation can be a curse and not a blessing. We know 1 out of every 4 women in the United States has been molested before they turn 18. Well, my mom was beautiful. She's 14 years old, and here comes a pimp in the community named Larry. And he said to her, "Don't you know that you're sitting on a gold mine?" And she says, "Where?" She's 14, she's innocent. He's talking about her figure, her body. He says, "Listen, I own a few nightclubs in downtown Cleveland. If you come down, we'll give you clothing and dresses and pearls and set you up just to sit down and have dinner with people." And she's 14 and nobody's there to protect her. My mom once told me something that was profound that's in the book. She said, "Son, you just don't know what people will do to you when they know you have no place to go." I know there's some out there listening today. You feel the same way. What do I do? Where do I go when all heck breaks loose in my life? When she went down for the audition, they sex trafficked her. She got pregnant. They tried to abort the baby 3 times. And that baby, which is called a trick baby, was me. But I tell you something, what was meant for evil, God uses it for good. I had a 4th grade teacher who came into my life, an old white lady named Mrs. Spears, who had a big Gideon Bible. And she told me God don't make no junk, that God uses greatly those who've been wounded very deeply. Let me repeat that. God uses greatly those who've been wounded very deeply. And she taught me the Bible as a part of my speech pathology because I was a stutterer. And I had to say things like, "The sea ceaseth and it sufficeth us, and proper preparation prevents poor performance and possible punitive punishment." Try that a few times after breakfast. And the fact remains, she made me read the Bible for the first time. And I read something that changed my life. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. And it says, "Before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. And before you came forth, I set you apart to be a prophet unto the nations for me. And I said, I cannot speak, for I'm only a child. And God said, do not say you're only a child, for I will touch your lips and put my words in your mouth. When I heard that, I realized I wasn't a mistake. I wasn't an accident, that I was here by divine design to let Jesus shine. And so are you. I don't care what you've been through or how you were born or what your parents were like or what you've been through. God has a plan for your life. And the key word to go deeper is just to say one word to God: yes. I don't understand it all. I can't figure it all out. I don't know what's going to happen, but Lord, I trust you and I give my life to you. And I started preaching at age 16, my first church at 22, now 53 churches later, 5 books, TV shows, you need to reach the lost for Jesus. But you know what? To be honest with you, I didn't tell my story. I didn't write this book, What Belief Can Do, until I was in my 50s, because I was so ashamed of my life. I was ashamed of my past. I was ashamed of how I was conceived. I was ashamed that I was a stutterer and a bedwetter. I was ashamed that I was a chubby little boy that just didn't seem to know how to learn in school. But I want you to know something. Shame is a lie from the pit of hell. God died for our shame. He bled for our shame. The scripture says, and we, me and you, we shall overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the power of his testimonies. You know, my family was atheist. We didn't go to church. We had no Bibles. We didn't sing in the choir. We had no affiliation with church. So when I got saved, as we call it in Christianity, my one prayer was, Lord, please save my family. I prayed for them every single day, but I knew one thing. A sermon wouldn't save them. Scripture just by itself wouldn't save them. I knew what would impact them was my own personal life. They had to see Jesus in me. So my successes in life led to them to say, there's something about this Jesus thing. And one by one, each person in my family, my grandmother, my grandfather, my mom, all got saved and are serving today in our ministry called the Places of Hope. And I want to encourage you, keep praying for your family. Live out the gospel. Love, 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 love. Forgive those who've hurt you. You see, we are most like Jesus when we can forgive. Remember on the cross? He's on the cross. He's dying for all humanity. They're mocking and they're gambling for his clothes. And what does he say? Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. We are most like Jesus when we can forgive. You know what? Yeah, I was born a trick baby, but the trick was on the devil. Because what was meant for evil, God will use it for good. And that's a promise from me to you. This is Dr. Ron Archer, author of the book, What Belief Can Do. Keep in contact with us with ronarcher.org, and let's keep going deeper.
Thank you for joining me for Going Deeper. I hope something I've said may have helped just a little bit. If you have a question you'd like me to answer or comment, just email me at stevesocial@newlife.com. I'll see you next time.
If you want to support Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn, be sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. And if you know someone who would benefit from this episode, be sure to share it with them. See you on the next Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn from New Life Ministries.